I came up with the term fake news. It's a lot of fake news. But at the same time, I have great respect for many of the people in the press. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, okay. We're back, and not really sure even where to begin with that. That's Donald Trump's first press conference since February 16, 2017, which is why we let you hear what he had to say. He's being questioned by reporters for the first time in, I think, 478 days, I believe, that my producers have told me. It was not on his original schedule, so we let you hear it. I'm going to let my panel react to it. David Corn, Sarah Kendzior, Malcolm Nance, and John Harwood are still with me, and joining me now, economist and senior contributor for oilprice.com, Dan Dicker, and Linda Yu, author of the book, What Would the Great Economist Do? I'm going to come to my panel here at the table because we were sitting, we were saying that maybe we should have had a camera in on our faces as we were sort of reacting. Relationship with Europe, a 10. He realizes that everything's fine with the Allies because they smile at him when he's talking.
That's my favorite.
Apparently, he's had a great, successful summit. He's concluded a successful summit. He's leaving early. I'm going to come to you first, Linda, your reaction to all of that.
Well, the first thing to say is, of course, the summit isn't over yet. So
no.
Where are we in the communique? Where are we on these tariffs? Where are we on the taxes that he's so focused on? So he said in the press conference, no taxes, no barriers. But I think the question we all want to know is that in the communique? Has that been agreed by the G7? Should we be looking for a clear path to the economy? Did he make these breakthroughs? And Joy, I'm just going to speculate here. Probably not.
Right. So, and that is the problem, Dan, is that there's no way to know if anything that he said is connected to actual policy being made or if he was just freestyling.
Well, I love that idea that his relationship with everybody is a 10.
They smile at him.
He's walked out 24 hours early on a G7 conference with all of his allies.
But he was late.
After proposing enormous tariffs and ultimately a trade war because everybody in that room with him is proposing reciprocal punitive tariffs against him, but everybody's smiling at him and his relationship is a 10. How do you get it to 11? I'm wondering, you know. And he's got a major problem here if he goes through with these tariffs and the way that he's planning it forward. And I'm telling you that I don't think that the markets believe it, because when he originally proposed these tariffs in March, the markets took a tremendous dive down, went down 1,000 Dow points. All of the major aerospace stocks, the cars, automotive stocks, tool and die stocks, they all got hit.
Yeah.
But over the last week and a half, where he's proposed them again and included our allies as part of this tariff plan, the stock market has actually been moving pretty steadily higher. John Harwood will agree with me on this. And I think that the markets, and therefore most of the people who are surrounding this, serious people who are surrounding this, don't believe he's going to go through with it this time at all. And they think that he's just kidding again and he will have to back off from all of these tariffs. You get sort of a sense of that from the statements that he made in that, that sort of semi-press conference where, oh, I don't really want to do any of this. They're forcing me to do all of these tariffs because what we really want is free borders everywhere. So he's leaving himself room again to back away from this entire process of trade war and tariffs.
Let me go to you on that, John Harwood, to see if you do agree with that. I mean, I used to be on Larry Kudlow's show a fair amount, and I remember him being very much a free trader. You're over there at CNBC, and you probably remember him pretty much the same way. At one point, Donald Trump turned the mic over to Mr. Kudlow for him to support this idea of either tariffs or no tariffs. It's really not clear what he's saying now, John.
It's not, but I got to say, Joy, I don't think the upshot of this press conference was about tariffs. I'll be honest, as a citizen, I'm concerned about the president's state of mind. He did not look well to me in that press conference. He was not speaking logically or rationally. Right. It sounded as if he was making stuff up, saying, you know, oh, China told me nobody's ever talked to us, or saying, oh, you know, I talked to Justin Trudeau, and he can't believe he was getting away with so much trade stuff. I don't think those things are true. And there was something about his affect which was oddly kind of languid from him. I don't know what it means, but he did not look well to me.
Yeah, and you know, Malcolm, you have Donald Trump saying North Korea will be a tremendous place in a very short period of time. That's an odd thing to say about, you know, the North Korea, which is a completely closed dictatorship. He seems very eager to go and talk to Kim Jong-un. To John Harwood's point, very little of what he was saying made a lot of sense.
Well, John has hit the nail on the head. And, you know, I think Steve Schmidt said this the other day, that Donald Trump comes off like a moron. Well, you know, I don't think that does justice to the Skinner-Binet test. I think he came off like an idiot today. I was almost shocked at the way that he spoke with utter contempt of every president that preceded him. He does not fundamentally appear to believe in the processes and systems that put him in the office. He doesn't appear to believe in the alliances that bind us together, that make us stronger as a nation. It is all about his narcissism. And to be from a national security perspective, this man wouldn't qualify for the nuclear weapons control system to allow him to be anywhere near the nuclear control keys or even guarding them. I mean, I'm really shocked at the way that he speaks because it is all Donald Trump centric. He came off like Mad King Donald, not President of the United States.
Yeah, Sarah, you know, there used to be a thing where Republicans sharply criticized even the Dixie Chicks for being on foreign soil and criticizing the American president. You now have an American president trashing all of his predecessors, congratulating world leaders on tricking U.S. leaders, American presidents, seeming to have more respect in many ways for the leader of North Korea than for his own predecessors, blaming President Obama for Russia invading Crimea and annexing it. I mean, it is pretty stunning to hear an American president speak that way about his own country, his own country's former leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whatever way you look at it, Donald Trump is not working for the United States. He's not working for the interests of the United States. He's not working for the interests of U.S. workers. You can see the effects of these tariff policies in states like mine, Missouri, that voted for him in terms of what's happened to soybean farmers, what's happened to the Harley-Davidson plant in Kansas City. But to look at it more broadly, Trump's relationships are basically set on what can a leader of a country do for Trump. So he's favorable to China. He's favorable now to Kim, because he thinks he's getting this kind of ego boost. It's enormously destructive, and it's shameful that the GOP has not done anything. They know that these policies are going to hurt their states. And whatever short-term view they have, whatever careerism they have, in the long run, this is going to devastate America. They may think they're fine. Their kids won't be. Their grandkids might not be. And there might not be a country for them to inherit. So they need to take this seriously, and they need to act now.
Yeah, and you know, David, everyone in the GOP essentially has been recruited. Yeah. You know, he has taken Larry Kudlow, a man that, you know, Dan and I both. I mean, I can't say.
I used to go on his show too.
Everyone's been. He's recruited the entire party.
Yeah. You know, picking up on John's point, if, Joy, you were talking to me this morning the way we just heard Donald Trump talk, I would ask you if you had taken any medication and advise you not to operate any heavy machinery. Wow. I mean, he seemed disconnected from reality. I mean, he has taken the art of lying, or some people call it BSing, to a new level where he just looks you in the eye and says, the level of the relationship here is a 10. A 10, I tell you. And everyone knows, everyone in the room knows he's not telling the truth. Even his fans, his supporters, cheer him on when he gets away with his BS. And I have to say, you know, we haven't had a press conference with him in a long time. I don't want to bash my colleagues, but those reporters in the room missed a major opportunity. They pressed him on nothing. They asked him nothing about the Russian attack on the U.S. election. They asked him nothing about letting millions of Americans go unprotected from health care if they get rid of the pre-existing conditions clause. They just gave him a platform for him to give this performance in which nothing made sense or was connected to anything real. And if the press keeps doing that, John, he's going to keep surviving.
Yeah, John.
I just want to connect what we saw just now to what was reported earlier in the week by our colleague Josh Dawsey of the Washington Post. President Trump went to FEMA to have a session that was ostensibly about planning for hurricane season.
Right.
Melania Trump appeared with him. They let cameras in. That was the first time she'd stepped before cameras since she'd been gone for a while. Then they had a private meeting. During that private meeting, Josh Dawsey obtained an audio tape of the discussion. The president rambled on about everything but hurricane preparation. He talked about his political influence. He talked about California elections. He talked about all sorts of things. That is not what you expect from a president with his mind on task.
Yeah.
Hurricane preparation, as we've seen from the poor response in Puerto Rico that was so devastating to thousands of Americans who lost their lives. I know that people will dispute what the numbers are. In any case, it was a horrendous situation trying to plan for the new season, and this president was not able to focus on that task.
Yeah.
This was a very unfocused performance. He said, I have a clear objective for my summit, but it's going to be a spur-of-the-moment thing, and I'll know within a couple of seconds that these things don't make any sense.
Yeah, and he said his feel is how he's going to know if it's going well. I mean, Malcolm, when foreign intelligence services watch what we just saw right there, when the Russian foreign intelligence services or the North Korean intelligence services watch that, what are they seeing, and what do you think they are taking from it?
You know, I just wrote a whole book on this. It's funny. You know, I'm almost afraid to say what a professional intelligence officer would think about someone who is potentially recruitable, an asset, or a person who becomes a useful idiot. And the word is he's a fool. And fools are easily manipulated. If it's about their ego, you massage their ego. If it's about money, you give them money. If it's about ideology, you bring them an ideology. And if you need to coerce them, you coerce them by finding something that you've compromised their integrity with. Donald Trump has all of those. He is a dream for a foreign intelligence officer or a case officer. But he is being handled right now by a former KGB human intelligence officer who has him by the puppet strings. And, you know, North Korea, on the other hand, understands that you want to manipulate Donald Trump, you give Donald Trump something for his ego. China will give, licenses to his daughter. The Saudis and the Emiratis will just try to buy him outright. No president has ever been like this. This is why foreign nations didn't like Obama. His integrity level was so high, there was no getting at the man. And that was pretty much the same from George Washington to Obama. Now we've got a completely different president. The man is vulnerable everywhere.
Dan, you were...
To Malcolm